you ah! 11.
Ah! What?
How many times have you been pregnant?
3.
This is your 3rd pregnancy?
Yes!
You have 2 babies
It's
at
in
home?
my ass!
You have 2 babies at home? Who's your doctor?
Lang is her doctor. Y'all treat all your patients like this or just the black ones?
It was the first patient for you. Alright, last name is Jones. She's G3P2. I'm not sure when her due date is.
Her due
I
date is
just
the
said it
10th.
was the 10th.
I think her due date's the 10th.
She had 3 pregnancies, 2 babies at home. I bet y'all listen next time. When you found out you was delivering at this hospital, your ass should have changed doctors.
Thank you.
Everybody say how they treat people here. Hello, TikTok family. This is a follow-up on the video that I posted earlier. So, I was at work. I had no idea of the activity that was going on. My daughter's texting me, calling me. I didn't know what was going on. So finally I get home, they tell me about the video, and a lot of you was asking about a follow-up and to explain the situation. So this is the situation. My daughter went into active labor at home. We took her to the hospital. She called ahead of time, so we know they are expecting us. However, we get there to the emergency room. We watching nurses, putting gloves on, running to the door. They get outside of the door, and I drive a black SUV, and they look at my vehicle, and one of the nurses come up to the window, and she goes, I'm sorry, this is for ambulance only. I said, well, my daughter is in active labor. And she was like, okay. She said, but you're going to have to go to the front. I'm like, I have to drive to the front. And they said, yeah, you have to drive to the front. Okay, another redhead. And so I'm like, so she's in the, you hear, and it was like, yeah, she started bagging up, hit the button, went back inside the building. So I go around to the front. I get out of the car. Again, this girl is in more pain now than she was when we first left the house. And she started saying, I feel pressure, I feel pressure. I said, take deep breaths. I ran in. I said, hey, my daughter's in the car. I went to emergency. They told me I had to come to the front. So the lady was like, what's your daughter's name? Told her Kiara Jones. She gets out some paperwork, started typing in the name. I was like, ma'am, do you have a wheelchair or anything? She's in the car. I need to get her in. Oh, if you check on the other side of those doors where the vending machine's at, there should be a wheelchair out there. There's no wheelchair out there. So she gets up, she walks in the back, and she comes to the door with a wheelchair. She said, here you go, ma'am. I said, excuse me, you're not going to come with me? And she was like, no. Oh, okay. So, a police officer was in the lobby. He gets up. He grabbed a wheelchair. He goes out the door with me. He said, come on, I got you. Went out there. She is on hands and knees in the back of the vehicle. And I'm like, oh, shit, what is going on? And then she goes, it's in my ass. And I was like, what? And the guy was like, and she was like, he said, okay. She was like, give me a minute. She could not move. So when that contraction eased, we put her in a wheelchair. He said, you can go park your car, because they, again, had people out there. So I went park my car. It wasn't even 30 seconds. I run back in the building. She's just there with a stack of papers in her hand, screaming that this baby is coming. This baby is coming. I look at the the registers behind the window, and they looking at me, and they was like, well, we can't do anything until she signed the papers. Are you fucking kidding me? So I grabbed the papers, and of course, it's all ER bullshit that they have. And I was like, you want her to sign this, and she's in active labor. And they was like, okay. I was like, ma'am, she was supposed to be induced earlier today at 8 o'clock. And they called and told her that they will call her because they didn't have beds. And they will let her know. And no one ever called back. They called back every hour on an hour. And they was like, no, we'll call you back. And then finally, her water break, she called them. They tell her to come in. So why is she signing these papers? We need her in labor and delivery. And it was like, ma'am, I'm sorry. So the charge nurse comes out. And she saw the paper signed. What fucking, are you serious right now? And she closes the door. And then the lady behind the window, at this point, my daughter, scribbled her name on all the papers. We gave it to her. She says, thank you. She walked it around to the charge nurse. She opened up the door. My daughter is literally like having a contraction. And she's just standing there in the door. So we push her into the door. I said, can we get her into labor and delivery? She said, no, we have to fill out all this paperwork. I have to do the paperwork and get her a band before we can send her upstairs. So that was the video that you guys saw that I initially posted. So the next video that has no picture on it was when I was pushing her in and we was at the window because they asked me to move her from the window so they can take care of the guests or, patients that was coming in and out. Do not go to this hospital. This hospital is ghetto as hell. They do not care about black women or their babies. This is crazy. I read about stuff like this all the time. But to see this firsthand, this lady did not care. None of them. It wasn't until we got into labor and delivery where we saw an ounce of care or sympathy for her. Before then, they can care less. She did not care if she gave birth in that wheelchair. That was not her problem or her concern.